Hello everybody, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation coming at you today with another deck analysis video in preparation for the 2016 State Championships. Today we are going to be looking at a deck that is almost undeniably the best deck in the format right now, and that's going to be Night March. If you haven't checked out our other videos, be sure to do that because we have, lots of good videos, lots of good deck profiles to prepare you for state championships. Recently we just did Vespic and Vileplume. We did some other decks, so be sure to check that out. But today, like I said, we are looking at Night March, and there's really no dispute here. I think this is the best deck in the format because it has everything going for it. It's got the prize exchange. It's full of these non-EX attackers that hit really hard. As early as turn one, you can already take two prizes. And it just has speed going for it. I mean, if you just look at the list, right now it's just burning through the deck. You might start with 40 some cards in your deck with the starting, going into your first turn, but by the time that turn is over, you might be down to like 15 or 20 cards. So it is just really, really sick how fast this deck is. And with Breakpoint, it got a lot of good additions that I think will make it even better. So if you're not familiar with Night March, it's pretty simple. Basically, you have these attackers here, Pumpkaboo and Joltik. They have this Night March attack, and it says this attack does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard that have the Night March attack. So, if I'm attacking with one of these guys, and let's just say the rest of them are in the discard, well, that's going to be 11 Pokemon in the discard, so 20 times 11, that's 220 damage. That is crazy. That can knock out anything. But then you have stuff like Fighting Fury Belt, which adds 10 more damage, and Giovanni's Scheme, which adds 20 more damage, and you're looking at upwards of, 250 damage from a little 30 HP Joltik, and that is ridiculous. But you also have Pumpkaboo, which has the same attack. Now this one is going to require one more energy, which, that might seem like horrible because you're like, oh, I've got to attach two double colorless, that's awful. But thanks to the Dimension Valley Stadium, it says that Psychic Pokemon pay one less colorless energy to attack. So basically it's going to be on the same level as Joltik and going to be hitting for a double colorless energy. But, like I said, these guys are really weak in their own regard. They have 30 HP and 60 HP respectively. So, if our opponent plays like Seismitoad, if they play something that's just really weak, or hitting for, a decent amount of damage, these guys are going to get knocked out quickly. And that's where Fighting Fury Belt comes in. It actually adds 40 more damage, as well as giving these Pokemon 10 more HP. I'm sorry, the other way around. I apologize. So it adds 40 HP and 10 more damage. That would be kind of ridiculous if it had 40 more damage. But yeah, this would make it would make the math much harder for our opponent here, and that's why we play Fighting Fury Belt. But we also play 3 Shaman. That's going to help kind of burn through the deck and get you set up. It's going to get you really good hands your first couple turns, and that's why we play Shaman. The great thing is that even if our opponent does Lysander up a Shaman and knock it out, that's actually not bad because that means that the Night Marchers are safe, which means they're probably going to respond by taking a quick knockout. So that's why we play 3 Shaman. I've seen people play as many as 4, but I think 3 is a pretty nice balance between, not starting with it and actually getting to use it. But let's look at the speed of the deck here. What makes the deck as fast as it is. We have 4 Trainer's Mail. I think this is pretty standard in here because it's going to let you look for trainer cards and kind of burn through the deck. Of course, 4 Ultra Ball, that's standard. That's going to let you search out the Shaman, thin your hand, etc. We've got 4 Battle Compressor because we need to go ahead and get Night Marchers in the discard as early as possible. It's also to get a lot of one-of supporters in the discard, as well as pairing up really nicely with Puzzle of Time, as we'll see in a minute. But it has a lot of great uses, and we have to max this out. And then we play 3 Acrobike. You could bump this up to 4 if you want to, but I think the deck is plenty fast enough. I would rather devote that spot to something that's going to help you. I think it already has plenty of speed, so I'd rather devote it towards, the extra supporter, fitting Puzzle of Time in there, etc. So I think 3 is plenty enough in here. But, these cards are going to help you burn through the deck extremely quickly, and that's why Night March really works. But let's look at some other item cards in the deck here. We play 4 Puzzle of Time. It gives you a couple options here. The first option, if you play 1 down, is it's going to let you look at the top 3 cards of the deck and rearrange them. So there's a little bit of synergy there with Acrobike. I guess you could also play it with Shaman just to see if a Shaman for 3 or 4 might net you something. Then, more importantly, and more often played, is the playing 2 at the same time, and that's going to let you put any 2 cards from your discard in your hand. So this has a lot of uses. This is going to let you reuse double colorless energy. If I battle compress, say, a double colorless energy and a Lysander, I can possibly have game for at that point. So I mean, as you can see, it's really, really good in this deck, and this is probably what makes Night March the best deck in the format. Being able to recycle double colorless energy is pretty huge. We're playing a town map because it's great if something's prized like Night Marchers. I can take a quick knockout and go ahead and get those Night Marchers back. We're playing 4 Verse Seeker. It's pretty standard, of course. Pairs pretty nicely with Battle Compressor. It's good if you've already used a supporter or two. It just adds that consistency. And then we also play a Buddy Buddy Rescue. This is good because it's very versatile. For example, if my first turn I battle compress Shaman, I have a really horrible hand, well, I can use Buddy Buddy to get the Shaman back and hopefully set up and get some cards. It's also good just to kind of reuse the Night Marchers. So that's why I think it warrants a spot in here. Some people played Super Rod before, but keep in mind that we have Puzzle of Time now, so we can easily get back Pokemon or other resources. And then lastly, we play a Floatstone. We play 2 of those. That's going to let us retreat. Not necessarily for like Joltik, but mainly for Shaman because of that retreat cost. I don't want to have to get rid of a double colorless energy just to retreat out. I'd rather just draw into the Floatstone and hopefully get that turn 1 attack. If I cannot get the Dimension Valley and Pumpkaboo needs 3 energy to attack, you might also consider putting a Floatstone on there as well to retreat into the Joltik. That's the main thing to kind of take away with this deck. I want to attack with Joltik more often than Pumpkaboo, just because Pumpkaboo, it's oftentimes hard to attack because you need a few more resources like Dimension Valley. So try to focus on attacking with Joltik, but Pumpkaboo is also a good secondary attacker here. But as far as our supporters, we play 2 Sycamore. Professor Sycamore is the best supporter in the game. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards. So I can easily discard Night Marchers from my hand and draw 7 cards. Hopefully burn through the deck. We only need 2 in this deck. Most decks in the format play 4. But we only need 2 in this deck because, as you can see, we're going to be burning through the deck extremely quickly. So we play 2 Lysander just because I don't want one of those prized. Lysander is going to let us have a huge lead in the game because as early as the first turn, I can basically be like, oh, I've got Lysander, I've got a couple, I've got 3 Night Marchers in the discard. So Joltik is going to Lysander up Shaman, already take 2 prizes. That is pretty awesome. So that's why we play 2 of those. I play 2 Hex Maniac in here personally because going into state championships, you might go against something like Trevenant, you might go against something like Greninja, you might go against a Crobat based deck, or more importantly, you might go against something like Vespiquen Vileplume. So you don't want to be shut off your first turn. You want to have a few more, another out or so to get in the Hex Maniac. And if you only play 1 and it gets prized, you've pretty much auto lost certain matchups. So I think it definitely warrants a spot to play 2 in here. We also play 1 Giovanni Scheme. As I said, it just adds 20 more damage. It also serves as another supporter. It lets you draw until you have 5 cards, but let's be honest, we're probably not going to be using that more often than not. And then we play 1 Teammates. This is also crucial in Night March because if something gets knocked out, I can drop Teammates and automatically search for a double colorless energy. And, maybe even like a Lysander for next turn or something. But Teammates is very good in here, and I can't recommend it enough. I definitely recommend playing 1. We play 1 Xerosic. Xerosic is good if you happen to get stuck against something that uses a double colorless energy. If you're about to knock out, say, a Vespiquen, and they have one on the bench that's already powered up, you can knock it off and basically get rid of half their DCE, and that's half their energy supply, essentially. So Xerosic is good. It's also good to knock off tools. If you're short on knocking something out that has, like, a Fighting Fury belt on it, you can definitely do that. If I had to do a 61st card in this deck, I would do a Startling Megaphone, just because, if you're going to get some kind of deck that plays several Fighting Fury belt and Floatstone, like Yveltal Zero Art Galley does, being able to knock off 3 or 4 tools is pretty huge. But that said, if I had to take a card out for it, you might want to consider the Hex Maniac or the Buddy Buddy. But as it stands, I think this deck is more than consistent enough. And then, like I said, Fighting Fury Belt, lastly, is a great way to add HP to Joltik and Pumpkaboo. Joltik will now have 70 HP, and Joltik will have 100 HP. So you might not think that makes a big difference, but it certainly does, especially against things like Greninja, against Bat Damage, against Trevenant's Silent Fear attack. There's definitely a lot of reasons why it's good. So I definitely recommend playing a couple, and we can always puzzle a time to get those resources back. And then, of course, we just play 4 double colorless energy. Because we play 4 energy, that leaves so much room in the deck, and that's why we can fit everything in here. So you might be looking at this deck, if you haven't seen it before, and you're like, 4 energy, that's horrible. You need like 10 or 12 at least. But the great thing is that I can speed through the deck, I can take knockouts, and I can reuse my resources with Puzzle Time. So really, there's no need for anything more. Of course, if you play like a melodic variant, when you play like a 2/2 melodic, I have seen people play 3 lightning, and that's just so that you have another out. But I mean, honestly, I don't think it needs it. I think double colorless and Puzzle of Time really make this deck just incredibly good. If you get on websites like the Charizard Lounge, you'll see this listed as a tier S deck, like a tier super deck, which basically means that it is undisputably the best deck in the format. So that is Night March, guys. Feel free to tweak this list to your liking. This is just kind of a foundation, although I think you will find yourself having great success with this list if you play it at states. But let me know in the comments what you think about it. Be sure to like, subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Show your support. Facebook.com/TopDeckNation. Check out our website, TopDeckNation.com. We have free articles. We're doing a lot of changes on the website. We're going to have an awesome free card database pretty soon. Videos, tournament reports, all that stuff is coming. So be sure to check it out. This is a big nonprofit project of mine. I think that articles and all that stuff should be free. I really can't justify paying $15-16 a month for content that I think should be free. The Pokemon community is amazing. So I think free articles is the way to go. Are the way to go, I should say. But I hope you like this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see next. But I will catch you guys in the next one. And good luck at week 2 of state championships.